broadcasting a list of the victims out to the masses, while at the same time redacting the names of a number of likely co-conspirators who he claims are indictable for sex crimes, very likely. Names like billionaire Leslie Wexner and a Saudi sultan as well. Massey says the cover-up of Epstein goes all the way back to Obama and claims that Pam Bondi's DOJ is fighting to continue it despite what was voted on late last year, this Transparency Act.
I'm going to unredact them here. Les Wexner is in this, but he doesn't appear in this file until I forced you to release it, where he's listed as a co-conspirator, not to tax evasion, but to child sex trafficking.
Within 40 minutes, Wexner's name was added back.
Within 40 minutes of me catching you red-handed.
There was one redaction out
where
of
he's
over
listed as a co-conspirator.
Okay. And we invited you in.
Gentlemen.
This guy has Trump derangement syndrome. He needs to get, you're a failed politician.
Yeah.
An ugly moment there. The question is, though, why? Why is this all so difficult? Why does this need to be so hard? Why does this feel so bizarre? Some people believe that there is no conspiracy here and nothing is actually being covered up. But again, some of Trump's biggest supporters, Boebert, Mace, Burchett, Anna Paulina, they don't buy that. It's not a get Trump story any longer. This latest release proves that Trump was like one of the first people to call out Epstein and applauded the Palm Beach Police Department, called the police chief, and thanked them for investigating this pervert years before he was even first convicted of a sex crime. This was 20 years ago. It's hard to imagine that Donald Trump then started hanging out with him and chasing after little kids after making a call to the Palm Beach police chief. So then why is the DOJ redacting names and then quickly unredacting some of them after being publicly called out? Why is this so weird? Remember, these are the same people that told us that they were releasing it all, that they couldn't wait to release it all as they gloated about their incoming power during the transition. That was only a year ago. It is the most bizarre story that I think I've ever covered, and the bits and pieces that we're seeing indicate that what's being concealed is horrific. Emails about loving the torture video from Epstein to an unknown recipient, protected by a DOJ redaction. Why? A simple but potentially disturbing email says age 10 sent to Jeffrey Epstein. Redacted sender. Now, there could be a good reason for that. A lot of things could be 10 years old, but where does your mind go? An explanation is probably needed for a redaction like that. Why is that name covered up? What was the rest of the email about? An email redacting the name of both the sender and recipient, so both sides blacked out, claims there's 2 foreign girls buried near Epstein's ranch in New Mexico. 2 girls who were strangled during rough sex. And 2 massive barrels of sulfuric acid ordered to Epstein's island. We talked about this last night. 2 55-gallon drums of sulfuric acid. Something so strong it could eat right through the floor of your house. 110 gallons of sulfuric acid to the island. As Lauren Boebert described last night, after combing through these files for hours on Tuesday, it's dark.
Seems that it wasn't only the trafficking of young girls. There are code words that suggest Jeffrey Epstein and his associates could maybe even be engaging in some sort of consumption. Is that human consumption? There's a lot of talk of beef jerky. There's a restaurant called The Cannibal where the owner is listed in some of these documents. I saw more emails about torture. Torture was big. It was a big driver for them.
That was a crazy interview. The obnoxious part of this moment comes, though, as we try to figure out what's going on here and we try to make sense of it. At the same time, the most obnoxious part of this is what we're hearing from Democrats, just as you would expect, who are displaying themselves as the virtuous, transparent political party that's fighting a regime of perverts blocking the release of these files. When in reality, as you very well know, the Democrat Party managed to whip its entire caucus into never asking once for the release of these files, all during Joe Biden's 4 years when Merrick Garland was in control of the DOJ. That's how much control they have of their caucus. These are whipped these are whipped puppies. They're cattle. They follow whatever the hell the leader says. They never, ever stray. They can't think for themselves. And they're frauds. They're phony. The biggest pedo protectors in this country have a D next to their name politically and are gaslighting the country to the absolute max on Jeffrey Epstein and the files.
You know, everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmitt tonight on Newsmax.